A philosophist by the name of Rebecca Bennett opposes Julian Savascu's argument by saying that no one is actually harmed if parents do not select the best offspring, because the individual who is born, whether they have a mental, physical, or social impairment, would not be better off not being born than being born with such an impairment. And that's to say that an individual who was born would not have a worse life if they had not been born. So choosing worthwhile but impaired lives harms no one and is not less preferable. So according to Rebecca Bennett, procreative beneficence could cause people to think that they should aim to ensure the maximum possible potential quality of life, and thus embryos without or with the least impairments should be selected. And she says that that's a flawed argument. She says, firstly, it's flawed because if being born with an impairment does less harm than not being born at all, then it really doesn't make a difference whether or not you choose to have a child through genetic engineering. And she also says, theoretically, that attempting to increase the sum total of happiness not related to a person directly can lead to conclusions such as people feeling obliged to have as many offspring as they can, just because those offspring would be born without any impairments, which could then lead to unhappiness by causing overpopulation or, scarcity of resources. Others that support procreative beneficence say that the most prominent reason to allow it is for the beneficence of the children. It argues that it would create people who are happier and healthier than those created through natural selection, and whatever possible benefits reaped from the third parties involved. A big argument to that, though, is if a child was created naturally through their parents and, the natural process of childbirth, is that to say then that those children created through natural selection are not as valuable? Their lives do not matter as much as those children created through genetic engineering. So I think personally that I see genetic engineering as something that could have benefits, but it also could have risks as far as society is concerned. Choosing to have kids without any impairments, or choosing them to have a specific physical or, social characteristics could be a great thing. It could lead to less disease-ridden populations, but it could also cause people who were not conceived through genetic engineering to feel, less than, or feel as if there's something wrong with being just a normal person who was created by whatever universal forces created us up until this point. So I think that I'm not really sure where I stand with genetic engineering or choosing designer babies, but I think that the strides that we're making in technology will allow it to one day become a dream that's well within our grasp.